Welcome to Sweeping the Country one more time. I'm your host, Derek Walker, along with Mr. Jimmy Carter. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, May, I like October is one of my favorite months of the year. And
Yeah,
May
I like it.
is another one because there's so much good, cool stuff happening
Okay.
in May.
All right.
It's always the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to that. I think once you've gone to it 2 or 3 times, I've gone to it in every way that you can go.
Is that
as
a bucket
peon
list?
in the field? Yeah, definitely for one time. But if you go as a poor person, it's
me.
not so much fun, because you're in the infield.
Yeah.
And the horses, it's not fun. It's a bunch of drunks picnic, and they could be at a bike rally, and they wouldn't know the difference in a horse race.
So how much do I need to get in the stands with
some
Dirk
of these
Bentley
you
and all
can't
that?
get in, like there's Millionaires Row.
Okay.
And before there was heavy security and all that, I was able to get up there with my news.
Ooh.
I wanted to pass.
Yeah.
And they gave me one, and it got me up there, and somehow I ended up where I don't know. But Waylon Jennings was up there.
Oh, nice.
I ended up watching one of the races with President Carter.
Oh, my God.
Because he had just become, a citizen again back in that January. And, I mean, those were the days, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
And then one year I was there, and it just in the paddock area, and Bill Murray was there.
Oh,
he doesn't remember it. He was so high because he was in a white suit. He doesn't even remember that.
I love it.
But that's an area, but you have to watch the race on a TV screen.
Yeah.
From the Millionaires Row, you're obviously at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, great seats.
You're watching it there. You don't even you go right. They have their own betting area there where you just walk up, and it's so, it's so private jetish.
Yeah.
It's really good. So anyway, that's a cool thing to do. And then another one, the cool thing to do is Indianapolis 500 at the end of the month. And that's a bucket list thing to do. I don't think you need to go there more than one time.
Yeah.
You need to go just to hear it. I mean, when these cars go by you at 200 miles an hour, or when they do the gentleman start your engines and they go by, it's really crazy noise.
Yeah, I would love it.
It's not like NASCAR. You feel it in your body. That is like a bunch of buzzing bees. That goes by. So, I mean, it's a bucket list thing for sure. They have great tradition at both of these things, with their own theme songs, My Old Kentucky Home.
Yeah.
And, Back Home Again.
Oh, that's good.
In Indiana.
Not too bad.
And all that stuff. I mean, they've all got a lot of tradition. We did a television show there, Quick and Chase, and I got to, sit in a car, and I got to, do everything you can do.
How did you even fit in a car? You're so
I did,
tall.
though, amazingly. I was just watching that interview last night that I'd done with a driver named Jim Crawford, and I was in his car.
Was it tight?
Car.
I mean, were you?
Oh, yeah. But
no kidding.
But if it's for you, they model it so you're stuck in there. You're like glue because you're taking curves at 200 miles an hour and multiple G's and that kind of stuff like that.
Wild.
And you're on the ground, though. I mean, there's nothing between you and death. I mean, it's
no
just,
kidding.
and you're right. These people are so close, and the wheels, that's some real daredevil stuff. NASCAR is too, but at least you got some metal and rolling things around you.
Right.
I think this is a whole lot more scary.
Yeah, open wheel is scary. Stuff. I mean, you can
very
go.
Scary.
Yeah.
Very scary. But those are 2 events that go on in May. And then, there's always a lot of, in the old days, there were graduations and there were junior, senior proms and all that stuff, in May.
Mm-hmm.
And the weather usually started to get a little warmer.
Yes,
and
indeed.
that was kind of okay, and there was just freshman flowers were starting to bloom. It was like a rebirth.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it. I always liked October too, for some reason.
Yeah, it's
My
a turning
birthday is that
too.
month, but I always liked it because beautiful leaves and that type of thing there.
Yeah.
And in the news, and I'm beating around the bush on
Wait a
some of it.
minute. You forgot one thing in May, and it's driving me crazy now.
Well, the coronation is coming up.
Well, no, the Mother's Day. We got Mother's Day.
Oh, Mother's Day,
we got to
right.
do Mother's Day. I mean, that's,
My mother's been gone for so long, I just I haven't had my mother in a lot of years. But, Mother's Day is certainly
it's a big one,
in there. And I'm probably leaving out, other stuff.
But all
May
good.
Day, May Day.
May Day.
That was always, and that's kind of diminished in its
Cinco de
popularity.
Mayo. What about Cinco de Mayo? We got
Is
Cinco
that
de
it?
Mayo. Well,
When
is
is that?
I think it's the 5th,
Cinco,
right?
is that the 5th
May
of May?
5th, I think.
Cinco de Mayo. Yeah,
well,
it is.
Cinco,
You're right.
yeah.
I forgot all about. Thank you for. I got to write that down.
That's
because
coming
that's
up.
one of the
We got to
things.
get our margarita mix ready.
Cinco de Mayo.
And our
Man,
chips
there's
and our
something for
salsa.
every day in May. May has got just a lot of great stuff
Yeah,
going on.
definitely.
And then I looked here where Houston this
Yeah.
week And I'm sure they've done I just happened to see the story. They're doing a week-long nuclear training exercise led by the FBI and the military to learn how to best deal with a nuke dropped on a U.S. city.
Wow, that's interesting, isn't it?
Huh. FBI tells residents not to be alarmed
when you see a nuke.
Military and hazmat suits. Drills will be carried out at locations including Joint Military Base Ellington Field, which is south.
Yeah,
that's where the astronauts fly into when they're going to the Johnson Space Center. Analysis shows 130,000 people would be killed if Houston was attacked.
Okay.
We don't want to even know, and that's so weird that we're doing. I mean, I think we've kind of always done this, but you didn't hear about it necessarily.
I guess.
And because of all the stuff going on in the world,
yeah,
I think that's why they're training for this again.
I feel
it's
like
more of a real possibility.
I mean, wasn't that the Cold War into World War II, and then the years behind that, the Cold War, where I still remember my grandparents underneath my grandfather's outbuilding. It was a garage, but it was his shop, really. And he had this wooden, they were like 4x6s, 3 of them across this hole in the garage. And I remember as kids going, what's this? And then finally they showed us where they open these logs up and they go down a ladder into this cement room. Bomb shelter. And it had breathing tubes outside.
Oh, when I was in a Cub Scout, we did a weekend once where we stayed at least one night.
Oh, geez.
In this bomb shelter. Was the bottom of this medical building, and we ate crackers and drank water out of some barrel that they had. It was for real in the 60s.
Yeah, and I feel like we kind of have
threat of nuclear war, and then it went away.
Yeah, totally, totally did.
Somewhere in there, but no, it was real.
Yeah,
and
now it's back.
I guess now it's back because just crazy people out there in the world, and between North Korea, probably more likely is a bad guy nuts. And I don't know what we got planned for them, and Russia still is a loose cannon, and
Indeed.
China, of course, is a loose cannon, and all that. He said, anyway, that's just horrible.
Yes,
this horrible news and horrible.
Yes,
and then I'm looking at another story, just going through the headlines where you get to there's a weird thing that went on today as we tape this.
Tell me.
A dust storm in Illinois.
Never heard.
Well, I've never
Oklahoma.
heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
But Illinois got it, and they ain't got it places where it's not like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
30 people hospitalized, 6 people killed, Interstate 55 dust storm.
What causes?
That's
just
weird.
Wind? I mean, just wind blowing through a field?
Well, there was wind in this part of the country today.
Yeah.
But it just it just went crazy. The weather was just nuts. It did that. And then truckers are mad.
What's going on there?
Because they're saying, California is leading the way in all this green business.
Right.
And they're banning the sale of new big rigs and buses that run on diesel by 2036 to slash emissions, warning it'll drive businesses into bankruptcy. That's still a long way off, but
boy, it goes quick.
But still, I mean, this thing is just gone. I'm sorry, I haven't seen the need.
Right.
I mean, when I was a kid in Birmingham, Alabama, the smoke was so bad you couldn't see half the time. And same way with Pittsburgh. And they got rid of, the steel mills, and they went away, and until now people can breathe, but they don't have jobs, but they can breathe.
Right, exactly.
The American Trucking Association's hit back in proposals that, I don't know. I mean, Sweden's trying to put stuff in the road. I saw something today where it's like a track.
So it charges
you. Charge your car and truck while you drive down the road.
Like a slot car?
This is America. Sweden's the size of what? Maine?
Right. One state.
We're a big country.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to be able to do anything like that. You can in certain cities or maybe in certain corridors, but we can't even get the internet out to Papenburg Lane in Columbus, Texas.
We can't get it to my house.
Other stuff? It's still screwed up.
Right.
So
I mean, honestly,
this whole Green Deal, it's going to put us in the poorhouse and it's going to be crazy.
I go back to
some of it is okay. Some of it is good.
I agree.
We're just nuts. We're nuts on some of it.
I was going to ask you, I mean, Jimmy, what percentage? I mean, what would make people happy that are on that green side of the fence? I'm not saying I'm not or I am. I'm just saying it's unrealistic to say 100% of everything's got to be electric by here. It is realistic to say, 25% of the trucks sold in the next 10 years have to be this electric as we...
See, we went through this. We went through where everything was going to be on propane for a while.
Yeah, we sure did.
We sure did. Natural gas.
We sure did.
That was the answer. And apparently it wasn't the answer.
Apparently, yeah.
So now we've got a new answer. And I won't be convinced, as long as I live, that this isn't just a money grab.
I won't either, because I still think about
a money grab. I don't believe it. I don't believe it's real. I believe it's to get to make a whole bunch of people rich that are in the new technology.
I even will go a step further, and I don't think it's to make a whole bunch of people rich. I think it's to make a few people rich, and they're just
it's always
it's just crazy.
And I just don't. Yeah, I don't buy all this stuff. I just don't.
And let's go.
Some of it, and I don't understand why Mercedes, particularly,
they're all going in.
Went all in.
They're all going
in 100%. And there's just more to it than it's not just their benevolence.
No, there's no way
to be good guys.
They're not in business to be benevolent. They're in business to make money. And the thing about all of this, everybody seems to forget. I know you haven't, because we've talked about this before. They still have to produce the energy. Even the electricity.
You're going to pay for this. Right. You're going to pay for these charging stations. Right. And, there was one. Right. What they showed that someone showed a charging station somewhere in L.A.
Yeah.
And of course, it had been vandalized and broken, and they didn't work.
Yeah.
What the hell are you going to do when someone's vandalized the charging station, or more than one of them, or something? And then somebody was complaining in California just this week, somewhere in the state, that somebody had opened a new gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And the question was, do we really need new gas stations now that we're going with these people living in some kind of la-la land?
Why are they
they're not dealing in the real world.
Right.
And some of these folks are just city people that, could care less what goes on in Iowa or what goes on in Western Oklahoma. They don't care.
I read a report.
They just care about what they care about in their little world. And this is a big country. It's not just about Berkeley or wherever. I just don't know. California's got more crazy ideas than they always have.
Yeah. No,
it's always been a state for kind of being on the edge, and whether it's for dope and LSD or fashion or whatever else it is, it's always been on the cutting edge. And you saw where they were early on in nuclear.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're cutting off the plant.
Yeah.
They were early. I mean,
the regulation. I mean, they're big on regulation. I read a report the other day. I thought it was interesting, but even the media that's reporting can't quite get it right, because I think most of them might be just too dumb, and I'll just say it. But they go about and they say, okay, there's half the charging stations that there are gas stations. But in a gas station, how many pumps are at a gas station? Sometimes 10, 20 pumps.
Yeah.
Depending on where you go.
A lot of times they don't work.
Well, that's true too. But I mean, honestly, when you say charging terminal, that means for one car. When you say gas station, you got 5 to 10 cars that can get gas in 2 minutes and get out of there.
Look at this. You're talking, how long does it take to charge these cars?
20 minutes.
45 minutes, a couple of hours or whatever?
Supercharging.
How many can a charging station do in a day?
How many minutes, right?
Maybe 5, 6, 10.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. But look, I mean, how many cars go to a gas station in a day?
Thousands and thousands. Yeah.
Right, in some cases. So
indeed,
these people are they're crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's just a lot more to this than we understand.
I agree, and there has to be some kind of meeting.
And we're a country, really, we're a bunch of ostriches.
It's true.
And we're our heads in the ground and our asses up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not smart. I mean, it's just not. I mean, really, we're going to turn the military completely over to green, the tanks and the trucks and all that stuff.
There's no way. There's no way, Jimmy. There's got to be some big big oil companies that invested in the electrical infrastructure. I mean,
there's something. It just hasn't revealed itself yet.
I agree.
Because why as powerful as Exxon and BP and all these people are
rich,
they're just going to say, heck with it.
Yeah.
10 years and we're going to be out of business.
Right. No way. No way. No. They're in it.
And there's just something stinky going on in the world. And so it's just something very odd. What happened with solar? Solar's been around for a long time.
Sure has.
And it never really did right.
Mm-mm.
Or, now it's come back on a path again. But there's something about it that's not dependable. I don't know what it is.
Rolling through the waves.
The sun's not dependable. But, they're putting it on top of parking garages in L.A. And, I mean,
okay,
if you're all in, but what is the cost per person to do this, with all this stuff?
Well, and
it's high as a kite.
Right.
That's why people were not using their roofs. they were all about it if they could have afforded it.
Sure.
But they couldn't afford it. And remember who was it, Clinton?
Yeah.
They got into some kind of scandal with these
that's
solar
right.
panels.
That's right. And
I mean, I'm telling you, there's going to be this scandal involved with this stuff too. We just hadn't. No one's looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to follow the money every time. You got to follow the money.
Yep, and so it's something. There's just monkey business going on with this rush to green and putting things out in the middle and all these big turbines. Who's somebody's benefiting, and I don't know exactly who it is, but I'll tell you something. The media is all in, and so they're not trying to find out if there's
right. They don't care. Yeah, they don't care. They don't.
So they somehow decided, and the great United States is going to do this. And what's the rest of the world doing?
Yeah, they're just going to watch us burn. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. The
world's a big place. I don't know are the other people going as crazy on
right?
This
Exactly.
Europe is absolutely. Europe is because they're so dependent on everybody else. And they're putting these deadlines up, but Europe is small.
It is,
compared to the United States, and it's compact, and you can do some things. They've got a great transportation system. We don't.
Right, but if it wasn't
for Eisenhower putting in the interstates,
roadways,
God knows where we would have been.
No
and
kidding.
I still don't understand why we let the trains in the country go to, just like that. And these trains are falling apart and off the track.
And the other thing that's been bothering me lately, since you brought up the trains, and I know there was a reason to do it at the time, but all these train tracks run by huge bodies of water fresh water that we don't want to contaminate for any reason, right?
Yeah, like the one that went off in the Mississippi River.
Yeah, right. And then what do you got? I mean, it's just crazy. So there's been some issues, but we have a lot bigger problems than converting over to electricity. And then, if they're going to open up the nuclear plants, which they've just opened up a new one, the first one in 10 years, they fired back up a nuclear plant, that's what you got to do to produce the energy that we're going to consume, because we are going to consume a lot of electricity if we go.
Where was that I was driving? Somewhere in California.
Yeah.
And I was doing a back route of some sort. Maybe it was between Bakersfield and going across the mountains there to get to San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
And, man, we went around some curve, and on the hillside, as many as you could see, were these wind turbines.
Yeah.
And, wow. I mean, it was awestruck. But again, those things, they don't produce that much juice.
Well, they must not, or we'd have them everywhere and have no coal plants anymore, right?
And we're killing birds. Not that anybody cares about that, but it's just I do. But it's crazy.
I think it was
this stuff is
Tehachapi. Tehachapi Pass is where you were, maybe.
Okay.
Wind farm.
Well, and there's a lot of wind coming off the Pacific. I get it. And then you're putting all these wind things out in the middle of the Pacific, 10 miles offshore, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I've seen
that.
And
they got to build all these lines, and they're messing up the all kinds of animals and stuff out there.
Right.
And your Navy's going to run into them in the fog, and there's just a lot of cuckoo stuff going on. I'm telling you, it's not smart.
Can we go back?
You don't have smart people dealing with this stuff.
Can we go back to the pleasantries?
Money. People are making money. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt. Speaking of green, my grass finally turned green.
Good.
I finally got green grass back after that long winter in Idaho. It was so long, it just kept on going. And finally, you're right. May is wonderful. It is springtime, 100%. And summer, we're up to 90 now.
I was going through some of these entertainment stories.
Yeah.
And, Donald Trump is going to do a CNN town hall. That was one of those stories that, I'll do CNN when hell freezes over. Now hell is,
right.
Temperature zero. Trump on CNN, May the 10th. Who'd
have
thought?
Boy, May 10. Okay.
Aerosmith is going to throw in the towel this fall.
What?
It's called the Peace Out Farewell Tour.
All right. You can make some money
Kiss
doing that.
Doing the same thing too. Kiss is done. When they wrap up here pretty soon. Steven Tyler, has not been in great health. Well, that's going one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are done.
Yeah,
if you watch a show 911 on Fox, which is highest rated show, I think scripted series on Fox.
I like that show. I think it's good.
It got canceled by Fox. It's moving to ABC.
Well, okay, that's interesting.
So that's that's a business that's going upside down and crazy.
Right.
Is the television business. It's really, really, really crazy. And there was a movie back in 1993 called Cliffhanger.
Ooh, Sylvester
Stallone. And he was a mountain climber and rescue ranger.
Great movie.
And they're doing a sequel.
Oh, really?
They are doing, and Stallone is in. He's ready to scale.
How old is
oh
he?
My God. He's 1,000 and wow. And so
he's got to be it is 70, late 70s, right? I mean,
yeah, somewhere.
I got to see, how old is Sly?
Alexa, how old is Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone is 76 years old.
76. Now think about that movie.
Alexa, stop. She's trying to sell me merchandise. No, thank you. Good Lord.
That was a great movie, but there was a lot of, if you have any fear of heights or that kind of thing, you'll have trouble watching that movie. I mean, they are dangling.
It was well done too.
Yeah,
they did a good job, to fake us out. And
that's
where the part was. But it's just, at some point, a lot of people, and we've talked about this before too. Just can't watch the news. Yeah. I mean, you've got kids beating up teachers in Houston. You've got mass murders all over the place. There's just a lot of bad stuff going on. And at some point, you just got to say, I don't want to hear about that anymore.
I'm there.
It's just that our priorities in this country are so messed up.
I agree.
We've got our schools that are just, some of them are a mess.
Yeah.
And because we don't know what to do, we can't discipline the kids.
Right.
They come from homes where they have no discipline. So they come to school and they're wilder than bucks, and they beat up teachers, and teachers quit.
Right.
And then you've got people that have money that wouldn't send their kids to some of these public schools if they had to.
That's right. Yeah.
And so you've got segregation again, because no one's going to put their kid. And the president, when's the last time they sent some kid to public school?
Right.
In Washington, in the District of Columbia.
Sure.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt, Jimmy. I mean, all those things are right. And part of that, I think, is the PC police that came in and it wasn't perfect before, but it opened a Pandora's box to where we have no control, right? We have I almost feel like some control, even though it's not great, is good compared to just Wild West. I feel like it's going back that way.
And it's just so many different things going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I understand if you're a congressman, because I know one in particular, but I mean, what do you focus on? Where do
That's true.
You can't tackle all these problems. You can't tackle the green thing is out of control. I don't know how anybody's going to stop or bring some sense to this thing.
Yeah, I don't think you can put that back in the box. I
don't think you can either.
Yeah,
I don't think you can either.
Yeah, and, where do you focus? Do you focus on a school achievement or school safety? Do you focus on? I mean, it's
everybody
everything.
wants to put a cop in every school in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that. So I don't know.
I know. It's frustrating.
I mean, everybody has the microwave answer for the problems, but it's not. And I just, was trying to plan a trip.
Yeah.
The other day, and I haven't tried to plan one in a while. So,
and what'd you come up with?
I got online and started looking around and saw how all there's the range of price. It's sometimes $500 and $600 difference in a round trip.
Oh yeah,
because you've got the discount airlines like Spirit, and there may have been one other one, but Spirit comes to mind.
Yeah, sure.
Do I really want to get on board Spirit? And I don't know.
I don't either.
My daughter did it, and she got stuck down in Fort Lauderdale for a couple of days because something got screwed up, and so they said, "Well, come back in a couple of days," and. My other daughter was going on a trip down to the Caribbean, a business trip, where it was a reward for being good salespeople and all that. And they got stuck in Miami. They were there for a couple of days.
Unreal.
Couldn't get to where they were going. I don't want to subject myself to that, honestly.
I agree with you.
I started making reservations and saw all this stuff, and then I realized that every flight, they said 3 seats left, one seat left, 2 seats left. I don't want to get on something with 3 seats left.
Right.
That means it's so crowded. It's miserable.
Well,
it's miserable.
And the price.
And there's no customer service. People are going in there. They act like they're crazy. They're bringing in buckets of Colonel Sanders fried chicken. They're fighting with the flight attendants.
Why
do I want to do that?
It's true.
Why do I want to do that?
I'll tell you. Well, I got
volunteer to do it. Volunteer to do it. If I had to do it, of course I'd do it. But why do I want to volunteer?
Yeah,
to subject myself to that. They've all said this summer that we've got a pilot shortage, so that's going to rear its head. You've got a air traffic control person shortage, so that's going to rear its head. Why do I want to do that to myself?
No, I mean,
not to mention, these rent-a-cars, the way I understand the rent-a-cars, their prices, they've got smaller exposure because they took their fleets down to nothing.
Yep, during COVID,
to barely stay in business.
Yeah.
And so when this business travel started picking up again, they didn't go crazy buying cars.
That's right.
So they've got a limited number again, something that's manageable, and their prices are still high. They did not come down.
And you don't get the car. You don't get the car you want half the time. Every time I've gone into an airport and said, "Is my car ready?" or whatever, it's not ready. It's the wrong car. Everything's screwed up. I don't know why it's so screwed up, but I think they're sharing.
Because it never got unscrewed from COVID.
Maybe
that's why. And so again, why do I want to do that to myself? I mean, number one, I think the only thing you should do if you're going on vacation or whatever is fly nonstop.
If you can.
Try not to fly if you can. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Your bags are going to get lost and everything else.
All of it, yeah.
Take a nonstop wherever it is that you're going, even if you got to drive to that point to get to the hub.
I agree with that.
To go on the nonstop. That's the less number of things that can happen.
And I'll tell you what else I've been doing, and this sounds crazy and bougie and all that, but I'm going to just say it. If I fly, I pay the extra to move to first class.
That's my friend Tom said that to me too, but I was looking at prices.
Well, you'll pay. You'll pay.
They have also shrunken first class.
Oh, it's small.
And some airlines like Southwest don't have it at all.
That's true. I mean, even in Delta on the small planes, you get maybe 12 people in first class, and you may pay another maybe eight. And let's say the flight is $1,500 normally. You probably will pay $2,500. For first class.
I'm not paying that. There's nowhere I want to go that
You don't have the guy with the fried chicken in the back. You don't have to deal with any of that. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
You're right, but I don't want to deal with it at all. I mean, it's just
that is
the airports are crazy.
Yeah.
I drive. If it's within 10 hours or 12 hours, I drive. And it's so much easier experience.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just I'm in my car. I can listen to the radio and relax. It's not horrible.
Yeah.
It's everything about the airports. And then the TSA, not to mention now that's, you get out there on one of these days where everybody in the world's going somewhere and it's awful.
2 hours in line, right?
I can't do that.
I
don't want to do that.
But once they go all electric, you're not going to be able to drive.
I can drive to Florida. I can drive to Texas. I can drive to wherever. And I will.
But
I'm not going to drive an electric car. I'm going to go into my gas guzzling SUV.
Because you'll have to wait at every gas station.
They're going to burn me at the stake somewhere is what they're going to do. Burn me at the stake.
Oh, God, I love it, Jimmy. I love it. That's going to do it for us.
Because I'd go green if I thought there was, I drove a Chevy Volt once.
Fun.
And it drove like a go-kart. It was fast.
They're fun,
lightning, but it was weirdly quiet.
Yeah, it is weirdly quiet.
It really weirdly quiet. And if I thought that there was some chance in the world that you wouldn't spend your whole time freaking out, wondering where you're going to charge.
Oh, you're going to have anxiety up the yin yang.
Yes,
you are.
You may have anxiety enough if you know what you're.
Can you imagine like you and I
go out there with a car? Even sometimes it's a little bit of anxiety worrying about where you're going to get the car filled up. Sometimes.
Can you imagine if we go on a trip? You and I go on a trip, and all of a sudden you start to notice the charges going down. I got to turn off the air. We got to turn off this. We got no lights. We got to
turn off. People
have
no idea what they're getting into. They have no idea what they're getting into.
Oh, my God. You're so right.
And then my buddy Ted's going green.
Uh-oh.
He's going green with a lawnmower.
Oh, he's getting electric?
Apparently it has 4 batteries. Yes.
Okay.
Because his gas lawnmower is one of these big jobs that you sit down on.
Oh, yeah. That's a riding mower.
The guy that works on it is going away or retiring or something.
And no more fixing.
So there's nobody to work on it. And there's always something to do with the lawnmower.
Okay, that's a baby step for green. I like that. That's a baby step. You don't have to have
But you got 4 batteries, and then here's another part of that whole.
Can he lift the battery? Is he strong enough to pick?
I guess they're. Yeah, he can. He's a monster. No, here's another part of that. When those batteries are gone, where are you going to put them?
Well, he'll probably just
full of really nasty stuff, and so we're going to have all kinds of storage problems with batteries that are going to be far worse than anything we've done with gas.
Yeah,
and oil.
Wow.
I'm telling you, people have no clue what they're doing here. This is the most unthought out thing that I've ever heard about.
We gave you all so much to think about We really did.
I mean, it makes me want to jump off in the river just listening to me. I'm telling you.
But don't do it, Jimmy.
It's reality.
Yeah.
It's don't have your butt in the air like an ostrich.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't oppose the green. We really can't.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Yeah, I agree.
The ship has sailed. It's too late. It's going to happen. But just know the consequences of going into it, of what you're going to get. And, and try to just put it off as long as you can. And I feel so bad for people in Kansas and places like that that don't live in Kansas City. I don't know. Gas is going to be $50 a gallon or something.
I mean, that's how they'll get
your car.
That is how they'll force everybody to electric is increase the gas price. I mean, that they go up that high and people will have to get. We thought about it. We've all thought about it. When gas hit $5, we thought about electric cars, And so,
but it sounds like it's the easy way to go. Okay, we're going to just get electric. Everything will be good. We can get, it's going to be free.
Right.
Government chargers or whatever. It's not going to be free.
Ain't nothing's free.
And and it's going to be, not to mention the anxiety, but there will be a cost. And then when everybody gets these green things, how are we going to make electricity? We won't build any more hydroelectric dams. We're going to have all these windmills and solar panels.
Right.
Really?
Right.
I mean, really?
Right.
That's going to be enough to have millions and millions and millions of cars in this country?
No.
Then they're going to say, we can't do that. So we're going to force you onto public transit. That's the game.
End game, maybe so. And somebody's going to be holding those.
To force everybody in the city, because when's the last time you saw anybody build a parking place?
Right.
They don't have any in cities anymore.
That's right.
They're going to force you onto public transportation,
Jimmy,
whether you like it or not.
And that means everything. That means everything is going to be like riding in an airplane. It's going to be everything.
They want us to be in socialism. The thing about America that people love so much, whether it was their horse or whether it was their gun or whether it was their car, they like that freedom to protect themselves. They like that freedom to get out there on the open road and, go in any direction and explore. There's been nothing like it. And now they want to take that away from us with some barked up excuse, of why they're doing it. And
is the new open road the internet? I mean, have people gotten lost on that?
It's all virtual. I guess we're all going to be virtual. But the fact that we're not going to be able to do the, just go on an afternoon for a Sunday afternoon cruise. We've got a whole generation of people now.
Yeah.
They don't want to have children. And now they don't want to have a car and they don't want to have kids. You're talking about, I don't know how we continue to move.
Wow.
As a country with all that.
Wow. A lot to think about.
I mean, it's just made me sad this week because all this stuff is reality that nobody is facing. And it's not conspiracy theories.
Right.
It's not. This is real stuff.
Right.
This is real. This is called freedom.
Yeah.
And it was freedom. I just know one of the greatest times in my life.
Yeah.
Was I finally got my driver's license.
Oh, heck
and I could take myself somewhere by myself that I didn't have to get chauffeured
it was
around.
The greatest.
Was that the greatest thing
the greatest
ever?
Oh, yeah. Mashing the gas.
That is not it. And how no one wants to have that freedom anymore. I don't know those people.
Wow. That's wild to think about. But Jimmy, if you're not brought up with that freedom, how do you know you don't have it?
You don't know it. You don't know it. It's like kids that are raised, in the Bronx or in Brooklyn.
Right.
That all they know is New York. They've never seen Nebraska.
Right.
They've never seen the Rocky Mountains.
Wow.
All they know is that.
Wow.
And, and that's the kind of thinking that's behind a lot of this stuff is that, how in the world do you go out on the open road in a Tesla or anything else when all you can do is get 200 miles and 300 miles?
Yeah.
I don't know how you go from El Paso to San Antonio. I don't know how you do that.
No, I agree. I mean, and I think it's interesting.
They're taking away your freedom is what this means.
Wow. Wow. What an episode. Every week, right here, sweeping the country. If you want to email Jimmy, you can do that. Where should they go, Jimmy?
No, yeah, right. P.O. Box 400, Union Station.
Now, listen,
Bronx,
he only takes snail mail, so get that. No.
Yeah, send it in care of the Exxon station at the corner of Court and the Bypass. Montgomery, Alabama.
And make sure you do not market airmail. He does not want it getting in the plane at all. Just put it on the train or the diesel. No. Wait a minute, the electric truck.
I'm all about FedEx and UPS, so I love Big Brown. That's all right. And,
I love it. No, go to AskJimmyCarter.com. You can email him directly. You can email me, Derek Walker, at Gmail. And until next week when we do this all again for the love of it.
I guess so.
We'll do it one more time, won't we? Are we going to be? There's no nuclear threat right now, is there? Okay.
No, it's just threats from crazy people.
Until next week, I'm Derek Walker. He is
Donald Duck.
Good day.
Jimmy Carter.